Welcome everyone to the MMA Depressed Us. What? Did I just hear myself come through somebody else's mic, or did one of you just start talking randomly? I demand
That was definitely an
silence.
echo.
It wasn't me. It must be Zane is literally losing his mind before we've watched even one fight.
Look. I demand only 5 things from all of you, and
They are silence, obedience, nudity. The list continues.
memorizing the list is one of them.
The fourth item is always the memorizing the list.
Anyway,
constant apology. I'm sorry, Master.
there you go. There you go. We are here for the MMA Depressed Us once again. It's a non-UFC week, and so we need to watch some terrible MMA. That's the only way I know to pass my free time. You see all these DVDs? Those are all just cases for like Cage Rage and Super Fight League. Like that's actually all that is behind me.
The new year was threatening to turn out well already. There was some kind of promise in the air on January 1st, so we should just nip that shit in the bud and watch some awful fights.
I just like the idea of like someone coming to visit Zane's house and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a real movie buff. You seem to have some real interesting stuff on the shelves here. Ah, I see you've got like the limited edition of Thief. Like, let's have a look." You know, it's like, and Zane's just gonna have to just totally play it off, like, just to convince him to plug it in, and then like the Super Fight League logo just pops up.
What is this? War gods, Zane? Gods of war.
That's right. You've seen Moosin, right? Like, I don't know if you've...
Now, explain to me, what is moat fighting?
Oh, God. You know what? I need to actually catch up on the latest moat fight. That reminds me. That shit's just amazing.
I'm actually ready to embrace Ganryujima as my favorite new sport in 2018.
Yeah, and I love Bloody Elbow. It will always be my home. But if Flow Mode is hiring at any point, I might consider a career change.
How do they have an entire Flow sports site dedicated to moat fighting?
They don't. It's just a parody Twitter account, thankfully. But it's a hilariously named parody Twitter account because it's
a great one. Flow Moat is amazing. That's perfect.
And they do actually cover the person who started it actually covers moat fighting in detail. Like they went to the press conference in Japan for it, and like, you know, it is somebody who is actually dedicated to covering moat fighting.
See, this is why Zane's movie collection is such a problem, because we were supposed to be doing this show, and already we've been derailed into a detailed conversation about moat fighting.
So the crowning jewel of this week's MMA Depressed Us is a 2005 Pride title fight between Dan Henderson and Murilo Bustamante. The second time they fought, in fact, Henderson having knocked Bustamante out in under a minute the last time. And for his knockout prowess, 2005 Dan Hendo was still like prime Decision Dan years. So a knockout already, a big, like the end of a big tournament. This was a welterweight tournament. Hendo had just knocked out Akihiro Gono the fight before this. Bustamante had just submitted Ikahisa, a prime Minoa man, right before this. Some actual legit build up to this bout, which I'm not looking forward to rewatching in any way, shape, or form. And right before that, our bad fight this week. The boring fight is a recent classic between two fan favorite fighters, Elias Theodorou and Sam Alvey. Not performance fan favorites, it should be said. Personality fan favorites. Even I like Theodorou. Alvey creeps me out a little, but this fight was all kinds of god-awful.
You're one of those people who sees Sam Alvey grinning, and you're so unfamiliar with like human emotion. You're like, rictus, what a terrifying creature.
It's partially that. It's partially also the see-through mouthpiece that says smile on it and shows his teeth, and he's just like, it's just like, That looks like some fucking serial killer shit. Like that looks like the last thing you see before getting hit in the head with a tack hammer. You know?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And we'll be starting out the night or the show with a Strikeforce classic. Ovin St. Preux, a Bongo Humphrey, our good bad fight of the night.
No introduction necessary. Everybody already knows this fight so well. Everybody knows exactly who Abongo Humphrey is.
Bongo Humphrey being the OG Oluwale Bamboj for Strikeforce. And OSP in that point of his career where he's going to look exactly like OSP today because OSP has... Like, I want to go like, oh, back in time when OSP was weirdly not technical, but a huge athlete who could still dominate people in his way. Okay, that's just current OSP.
Yeah. Ask yourself this: would current OSP beat Gegard Mousasi?
Maybe.
He'd probably lose the exact same fight he lost to him before.
Yeah.
I don't think he's developed that much at all.
No, he really does not seem to have. He's craftier and he's more like he's gotten all the things that come with experience and none of the things that come with training.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm struggling to find Henderson Bustamante 2.
Are you?
Are we watching their second?
It's Pride Shockwave 2005.
All right. Okay, maybe I did have it. Maybe I was looking at the wrong one. Yep. No, I'm good.
All right.
I still need to find it, but we're not doing that one first, so it's all right.
Yeah. So for those following along at home, we're watching all these on Fight Pass, the Fight Pass versions. Connor will try and give people a sign when we're coming up to round 1 in case you're not watching it on Fight Pass for some reason. We will count you down to the start of the video. We're starting each one at the beginning. So we're syncing them up as easily as we possibly can. I'm sure there are even easier ways, but none of us want to take the time or energy to figure them out. And so, yeah, if you're following along, starting out, OSP, Abongo Humphrey, Strikeforce Challengers 13, and then Elias Theodorou, Sam Alvey from, I don't know, it doesn't say, UFC Fight Night, whatever. And Dan Henderson, to finish, Dan Henderson versus Murillo Bustamante, Pride Shockwave 2005. So, we ready to kick this thing off?
I'm so ready.
All right. Starting OSP Humphrey in 3, 2, 1, go.
God, I'm so ready for.
What is with the guy's name?
What's that?
Like, this guy's name is super weird.
It's actually Abongo is his nickname. His name's Ron, but
Ron Humphrey, not a weird name.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, but it is kind of. It's a very kind of white British person name. like Ron Humphrey is. I'm not sure if I would expect Ron Humphrey to be that guy.
And yeah, already.
I didn't even get to say the round started because it starts right away, but that's
yeah.
Okay, so Humphrey has been hurt.
Oh, this is amazing.
He went for a sacrifice throw.
Yeah.
The Oluwale Bamboj comparison just leaps off the page, doesn't it?
It really does. Oh,
it's. I think that's like, and I feel a little bad because a lot of it is these guys who thought that they were amazingly good fighters because they had a ton of regional success, and then have had to find out they aren't good fighters against really good fighters.
Yeah.
But it creates this style you could just about call terror fighting, where it's just like that sudden realization hits them when they step in the cage, like, I just gotta throw stuff. I gotta go crazy here because I have no chance.
Yeah, but they are still like. This is just me judging from the appearance of Abongo Humphrey, but really the Oluwale Bamboj comparison holds true, and they still are like dangerous human beings.
Yeah, they're still good athletes.
Yeah, but you can tell like the tension and fear. It's just immediate when they realize that they're in there fighting like a well put together fighter.
Yeah. And that's
OSP.
all about this is that we have OSP playing the role of a functional, well-trained, skilled guy who doesn't overly rely on his athleticism in this matchup.
Yeah, so already you know that shit just got real for Obongo Humphrey, if that's the lesson that he's being confronted with.
He's not done one thing that I've noticed in this fight yet without putting maximum effort into it. Like, even just trying to get his guard back is like a strength against strength struggle for the ages.
It's kind of like how how Alessio Di Chirico became like the world's greatest pressure fighter.
Scrambles to a head outside single and gets down right into a triangle.
Right into a triangle that OSP has no idea how to lock up as a triangle. Where he's got his wrong foot like over the top.
Yeah.
There's an arm in the crotch. There's an extra arm in there, so okay, he's safe.
That
was scrambling from Humphrey. No.
What is he doing?
Why would you drop for a ankle lock?
Oh Lord!
Why would you do that?
Oh, he just sort of like sits down for a heel hook.
He wasn't even
took leg. And
again, like two dudes who just so clearly have almost no idea how to grapple, and Humphrey looks like he is so desperate for this to work.
So close to a knee bar right now. He's so close,
and he looks so mad about it too. Like this is pure, like, oh god, this has to happen.
How embarrassed does OSP have to be that he almost got knee barred there by a guy who clearly didn't know how to pull off a knee bar? His leg was fully extended and locked in for about 3 seconds there. Jesus Christ. This is a classic already.
This is going to go 3 rounds. I can't believe this is going to go 3 rounds.
It's going to get so much worse.
It is literally the only decision on Obongo Humphrey's record, win or lose. And it's almost purely because OSP is such a I am a good athlete and nothing else.
Yeah.
Landing some good ground and pound though from back ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then just pulling him into a head and arm choke that he also clearly doesn't seem to know how to get.
Yeah, knee on belly is not the way to go for that usually. Get the hips down. I mean, get your head on the.
There he's flattened it out. There's no reason he shouldn't have that choke right there. That is about as sunk in as it should.
Yeah, he's turning. Like, why is he turning towards Humphrey?
I don't know.
Shouldn't he be rotating his hip the other way?
Oh, he turned himself out of that choke. I think he literally turned out, hit the choke on his arm, put the pressure on his arms in a way that broke his own choke.
Yeah, some people try to sit through, but I don't think most people recommend that as the best way.
Yeah, like that's traditionally like the counter to if the guy's trying to for rotational movement and they're trying to push that way with you, then you just slip back into mount. But like, if you're actually trying to finish the triangle,
yeah, we're skipping TV commercials basically.
Yeah, but it felt like there were 20 seconds left in the round, and then it just skipped to like the end of the round.
That did seem odd.
Something weird is going on here.
But it's like nobody needs to see what happens next. That didn't help anyone. They forgot they threw his mouthpiece at the ref.
Oh, I thought they just chucked it into the. It looked like they just chucked it into the middle of the.
It's like, whatever, dude. Whatever. Just throw it out there. Fetch.
If I could look at 10 seconds of someone fighting and then have to guess, do they have the kind of corner that would forget to put their mouthpiece in before the round? 10 seconds of watching Obongo Humphrey would be enough to make that call. This man does not look like he has a very qualified corner. I love the footwork of the hyper athlete with no real technique.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The moment OSP just decided to start throwing uppercuts, he got hit by every single one.
I don't think I've ever seen OSP throw that many strikes on anything that landed. I don't think OSP could hit a heavy bag that many times.
OSP noted combination puncher.
I think it was like he was so shocked that the first one landed that his body just started twitching the arm into the same position over and over again.
Oh my god.
Oh Lord. Or maybe it was that Humphrey was so flat-footed there that he just kind of fell into his fist over and over. Like,
I'm impressed with his durability. I mean, Jesus Christ. We're getting a very quick stand-up.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell that was for. They were on the ground for about 30 seconds, maybe.
And then, of course, OSP immediately gets rocked. Oh, God.
Oh, yes. Yes. Go, Humphrey.
Oh, man.
Oh, he got rocked.
Oh, man.
He's hurt.
Like, yeah, that was a tremendously hard punch from us. Like, this fight's great. I'm just enjoying this a lot.
Oh, this is an amazingly bad fight. Like, I didn't even remember it being this bad. Like, I knew there was a reason this fight stuck in my memory. I was like, no, we got to find a Bongo Humphrey versus OSP. I remember this fight being crazy and bad, but I did not remember it being really. Oh, God.
Oh, Bongo Humphrey OSP.
Man.
Like, was that Zane's?
I mean, it's like he clearly managed to hurt, he managed to hurt OSP, or at least, like,
stun him. He managed to stun him a couple times at the very least.
Yeah. I don't know if he was like buzzed, but he was at least like, like blah.
That's
just with arm punches, because there was, he was throwing those punches terribly.
Oh God, yeah.
But that's how terrifying it
was.
Is that he managed to hurt Ovince St. Preux, and in trying to finish him, became at least twice as desperate as OSP, who was the one who was actually hurt.
Yeah.
He was so desperate to turn that tiny moment of hope into a reality that he just went insane, swinging these ugly ass punches.
Maybe that's like a whole new category of fighters we need to open up, or like the terror fight masters.
Fighters who thrive on fear.
Yeah. Or don't even thrive on it, but just cannot help.
They just are afraid. Oh.
They've just spent their whole careers just destroying people who just didn't belong in there with them physically, and then this guy isn't going away. He's not going away. What do I do?
I'm so grateful for these quick stand-ups.
Oh God!
Huge knee from OSP.
OSP with the
another
stepping counter knee twice in a row.
The way Humphrey throws that right hand, it's like he has to duck twice. Oh, and then he still lands.
Oh man!
OSP is so hurt.
He sprawled him straight into a faceplant without using his hands at all. He just dropped his shoulders on him. He just basically body splashed him.
And then he went.
This is before, OSP didn't even know how to hook up the Von Flu here, because he's got it. You can see he's going for the Von. Maybe that's been the biggest technical wrinkle added to OSP's game since this fight, is knowing how to properly get the Von Flu choke.
I don't know. He might actually have gotten that if this weren't 5 seconds left in the round right now.
I am true.
That looks like it might be in. Well, he's also got the fence in the way.
Yeah.
I think that Humphrey, I don't want to discredit him, but I think he may have accidentally saved himself by turning OSP into the fence there.
Yeah. Plus, OSP don't know which way to turn to get an arm triangle, but he probably knows Von Flu, Von Flu chokes. He's got them down to a science.
He kind of does. It's kind of the one thing he really seems to have a thorough understanding of. Man, that was a round. That was a round to be remembered. A Bongo Humphrey twice hurt Ovince St. Preux with punches, and twice managed to be the cause of his own undoing. When he really hurt OSP in that second exchange, He went for a guillotine.
I know. He sprawled him out perfectly.
A perfect sprawl.
Sprawl with no hands again. Like
just a body splash.
It was a body splash sprawl. Oh, this fight is definitely one of the best ones we've watched. Like, come on, let's see it.
Oh, they didn't show it.
Ah,
not a bad job putting his shots together there. For a moment, he had some combinations going on. He went from right hand to jab to uppercut, that's 3 different punches, one after the other. OSP is tired, shaking out the arms.
It does feel a bit like, though, if you actually nice body shot right into eating the same knee again.
Yep.
It does feel like, though, if you actually asked him in the gym to throw that combination, like he would never be able to.
Completely improvise. Another head outside single, but no idea how to grapple. Even when he gets the takedown, he's complete. How do you not recognize, if you're a Bongo Humphrey, how do you not recognize at this point, I should stop trying to grapple with this man? He's
way bigger and stronger than me. And
also, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. It's not working.
But I'm trying to think, is there an example of this kind of fighter who's actually ended up being good? And if so, is it just OSP?
I think it is OSP, yeah.
Well, it's a shame that we haven't seen OSP versus Oluwale Bangbosh. Like, he might be the ultimate form of this kind of fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, Bosch is even, like, wackier than, like...
Yeah. Humphrey hasn't gone for any impromptu standing hammer fists yet.
Like, there's going to be an evolution. There's going to be a next dude coming down the line. So, somewhere in some garage gym, there's some dude right now who is just like a whirling mass of high-octane terror violence.
OSP almost got kicked in the head. Guillotine again. Go it. Do it. Yes.
Like,
that's
actually not bad. He's obviously too gassed to get it.
Not gonna finish it, but it's in.
Yeah, but like,
I think he's strong enough that it's like the transitions that Humphrey does not understand, like how to get to a position. But he definitely looks strong enough to lock in a submission if he can get a hold.
Get the hooks on that. Get the guard on that knee, OSP's knee, like locking that. It's like you have clearly lost this choke, and you're like, I'm gonna wrap his leg, wrap the knee. There's just no way.
I think Bangbo is still my favorite version of this fighter, just because he's thrown like what I might consider to be one of my favorite combinations ever thrown in MMA. The Holy Cross of the War Angel, where he threw like a hook, a back fist, then a standing hammer fist afterwards. I just remember laughing for about 2 minutes straight after he did it.
Oh,
man, that's a legendary combo.
We may have to watch his fight with fucking
Cesar
Ferreira sometime.
Because it's the only one of his that's
the only one of his that went 15 minutes. Yeah,
it might have been that fight. I really hope so.
Right, ref. Come on, ref. One more quick stand up. Do us all a favor.
Give us a couple more minutes of this fight on the feet, because this fight on the feet is amazing.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Just give me one more.
I mean, the grappling was great early. The grappling was great early when they had energy, but now they don't. It's just...
Oh, here comes.
He immediately hits OSP with that double jump right hand.
Look how shaky OSP's legs are. Like, he's tired.
Yeah, he is. OSP does not have a tremendously good gas tank.
Have you noticed that? I've noticed that about him too. He doesn't seem to have great stamina.
Oh man.
Like, that was when I knew what's his face? Ex Strike Force middleweight champion.
Musasi?
No, lost to Dan Henderson. Beat King Mo.
Oh, Cavalcante?
Cavalcante, yeah, that's when I knew that Cavalcante was just done.
Yeah.
Was when he had OSP on one leg and then got visibly outworked over a 3-round fight.
Yeah, that may also
Whoa.
have to be one of our. We got to pick that one at some point because Cavalcante losing a fist fight to a one-legged OSP is just remarkable.
God damn. I mean, this was
Yeah.
the definition of a good bad fight.
It
if you
was.
saw this fight live, you would not ask for your money back. You would be very
Yeah.
satisfied. But it was also awful.
Yep. Yeah, like that's the kind of good bad fight you want to see. Like both guys gave it their all.
Yeah.
They gave it every ounce of terrible technique that they could. Like they just poured it all out there.
Two really poorly trained, really surprisingly good athletes just going at it hammer and tongs for 3 rounds.
And honestly, the difference between OSP and because there are a lot of similarities to like Ovince St. Preux and fighters like Obongo Humphrey. The difference is that OSP has decision-making skills.
Mm-hmm.
Like OSP won this fight. He may have actually honestly won this fight because he could get a takedown and control to eat up time on the clock, where he can conserve his energy to throw strikes when it needs to. Like that's really the difference between these two. Is that OSP can do whatever happens to cross his mind the moment it crosses his mind.
I would also say probably in general, OSP is just more confident and less terror prone than these kinds of fighters on average.
He definitely was scared in this fight.
Like a dude who goes 3 rounds with John Jones and is like not competitive by the end of it, but he really like was not, he didn't look terrified in that fight.
Yeah.
Like, he's got the confidence to keep his head in a fight. I think that's really what it is.
Yeah, he's a really tough guy. Like that's one thing about OSP. He's just tremendously.
Yeah, the poise, patience. Like, did Obongo Humphrey throw a single counter?
No.
But OSP threw a lot. You know, like
can Obongo Humphrey throw a counter?
Good question.
I don't think
like his striking basically seems to be to march forward in a kind of frog stance and throw 3 or 4 like blazing fast arm punches.
Yeah, arm punching doesn't really lend itself to counter punching, in fact, in general.
Damn, OSP just sizzled Obongo Humphrey with a glance after saying, yeah, good fight to him there. He gave him such a look as he walked away. I don't know what that was about.
All right.
I'm so glad I saw this fight.
Yeah, no, good choice.
Good choice.
Good goal.
All right. Let's jump over to Elias Theodorou versus Sam Alvey now. And after that last fight, I'm not looking forward to this.
No.
At all.
Hold on. I have the wrong Theodorou fight pulled up. Hold on a sec.
Damn it, Connor.
All right, we're ready to go. Keep the flow going.
You ready? Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh god damn it! I got a connection error on my.
Oh. Okay, let's pause. Let's restart. We're just getting started. So we're gonna go back, restart this fight.
Right.
Wait.
Okay. I'm ready.
Wait. Are you good, Phil?
Yep.
Okay. So everybody, real time start now. Once again, one more time. Phil's now okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. So, and I do have to lead this off again.
Hold on, wait. I don't want to watch this fight. I just realized that I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
Stop it again?
Shut up, Colin. You signed up for this.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Connor. This is all in your contract.
No, please.
Why did we just see a whole bunch more of like much better and more interesting middleweights before this fight?
I don't know.
We can maybe we can follow this, or maybe we can follow this up with Connor and I were talking about doing Dan Kelly versus Elias Theodorou.
Which is a fight that has already left my memory, so I know it must be.
He doesn't remember it. And it's a much better fight than this, quite frankly.
Yeah. Yeah, like, at least in that one, like, Theodorou kind of kicks Kelly's ass in that. Like, he does, like,
well, literally,
it's not great to watch, but he does.
The only thing he throws are kicks.
Yeah, but at least it's basically, clearly, it's exactly the same TriStar game plan as, what's it called it's a carbon copy of Maynard versus Ryan Hall without the flopping. He's just like just throwing like 100 half-power kicks.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh god, that smile! It always creeps me out. It comes out. He's just here. Connor, you saying that it's not creepy and that I'm being weird.
Yeah.
For the next 5 minutes, this is me.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that, like, no one smiles at the limit of their no one smiles at the limit of their muscles, like, as far as their, like, you know, as wide and big as they can make their mouth, unless they have been poisoned by the fucking Joker. Like, it is weird.
You think Sam Alvey he has strychnine poisoning? Yeah, but the thing is that Sam Alvey just has a big smile, and some people do. Nobody goes up to like Julia Roberts and is like, ugh, creepy. She's got a big ass mouth, so her smile is very big. That's all.
Julia Roberts doesn't hold it for like.
Yeah, Julia Roberts doesn't hold it for immensely. Like, has she ever just like walked around with like?
His face is changing shape. He's smiling sometimes big, and then sometimes it's
anamorphing.
You're not going to convince me from your small, secluded den, Zane, that human smiles are something to be creeped out by, all right? Just jealous about Sam Alvey's amazing, positive outlook.
I mean, to be fair, he does... To be fair, he does just hugely... Like, that's the thing. It does slightly look like... You know, it's a bit like the scene in Terminator 2 with Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? He like, because it's not just that expression. It's like his other facial expressions are super exaggerated as well. Like when he's gurning, when he's fighting, you know, and he kind of like got that thing.
Yeah.
Sticks his.
He looks. That's the other part of this. Is that for a dude who's supposed to be smiling all the time, nobody looks less happy when they're fighting than Sam Alvey.
Yeah.
Sam Alvey has no expressions, which is rictus grin and in-fight grimace.
Yeah.
He's just baring his teeth and like snarling at his opponent. Yeah. Boy, it's hard to justify having to spend so long talking about the appearance of Sam Alvey when this handsome motherfucker walks out, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It is. Yeah. It is a shame.
Elias, why did you choose cage fighting of all things? It's like the Alan Joban career choice. Same thing, where it's just like, dudes, this is really, like, you're just going to ruin your best asset for this. I mean, I'm glad. I like watching Alan Joban fight. I like watching Elias Theodorou on Twitter.
Damn, that was a fucking roast. Holy shit.
I like Elias Theodorou. I do. I wish he fought more. Like, he has drawn fun fights out of fighters who are never fun.
When?
Like Brad Tavares.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily class that as fun. Like,
it was.
I liked Brad Tavares' next fight more than I liked that one. Actually,
I like Brad Tavares lighting up Talis Lightus a lot.
Yeah, that was actually like.
But I'm,
pretty fun to watch.
Brad Tavares wasn't.
Zane's example did not carry the weight he was hoping.
Okay.
Because both Phil and I are like, man.
When? No, to be fair, when he beat up terrible Brazilian guy with suspect gas, BJJ guy with suspect gas tank.
Bruno Santos?
Santos, yeah. That was good.
Yeah.
Like, he can get
more exciting fights out of guys who don't want exciting fights, but more than average, let's say.
Can you imagine? I realize now that we need to see Elias Theodorou versus Rashad Evans.
Oh God, no, we don't.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
That's pretty solid. That's solid. Yeah, we need material, Zane. Like
more Rashad Evans fights are not the material I want. Okay, just for that, the next show is going to be all Sam Alvey versus Rashad Evans, and we're just gonna watch that fight
three times in a row.
It could be, honestly, I would like to watch Theodorou versus Kelly just for the visual contrast between the two fighters. Because you see the tail of the tape and it looks like a crime is about to take place. Like, this is an old man fighting one of the handsomest young men I've ever seen. This is not fair. This is just like the cruelty of the universe, the fight, you know?
And yet the fight itself is more of an affront than a crime.
Shades of gray. All right, here comes John McCarthy. He looks like he realizes what he's about to have to watch.
It's true. It's just like, oh man, this fight's gonna suck.
Here comes round one.
They really need to
I don't know why you guys always do this. Round one begins now. Okay, all right. Phil,
what were you gonna say, Phil?
Here's my question: would Elias Theodorou be better at a different camp? Because would he be? Do we want him to be at the MMA lab?
I don't think it's a camp thing, frankly.
I want to see Kings out Theodorou.
Kings.
Everyone just says Kings because everyone thinks they can turn everyone into like.
Yeah.
No one is allowed to ever say Kings when we say can they go to, because they're just like, oh, they can turn anyone into someone who just body kicks and death straights people.
I think he said at some point that he has like ADHD, right? Doesn't he?
Yeah.
Like he's really like hyper and has trouble focusing, and a lot of his stuff, like he has to like build his training around that. And he kind of fights like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know that there's any camp that would turn that into a more put together style of fighting.
Yeah, because he can't really punch good at all, and like TriStar teaches people to punch good.
Yeah,
like
single straight punches. Like, that's clearly not.
And he can't do straight punches at all. So yeah, I do kind of suspect that he's just like he's a decent athlete. He's a tremendously hard worker. He is just not a natural at many elements of MMA.
Yeah,
like.
And man, you put him in against somebody like Sam Alvey, who thrives only on predictability and slowness, and
he also thrives on people who don't kick him.
Yeah, people who don't kick him.
Yes. Yeah.
Should have seen that coming. That this was always going to be a loss for Sam Alvey against a guy who pretty much only knows how to kick. And only knows how to do like 2 or 3 different kicks. Like it's not like this. Like this isn't Edson Barboza throwing all this crazy miracle shit out there, and you never know what kick is going to come next. But for Sam Alvey, any kind of kick is anathema.
Man, Sam Alvey is such an intelligence washed, or are you too washed to fight anymore test in middleweight?
Yeah,
it's like, are you smart enough to fight a reasonable plan for 15 minutes? You'll beat Sam Alvey. Are you just physically too shot to compete anymore? No, you'll beat Sam Alvey. Like,
I like that. The one thing I like is that is Derek Brunson, right? Because everyone's like, okay, game plan for this guy. So you want to fight him from the outside, you want to light him up with some kicks, and Derek Brunson's like, I'm gonna fucking charge him and punch him as hard as I can and beat him up in the clinch until he falls over, just like everyone else.
That is what I love about Derek Brunson in the mess of middleweight, is that it's just really like the only thing that has ever really worked for him is just going out and just being like, I'm just gonna like hit you really hard until you fall over. And I'm not very good at punching people, but
It is totally noteworthy that he did just go out there against Sam Alvey and just swarm him like a maniac.
Yeah.
Which Doesn't seem like the right thing to do, but
yeah, he did exactly the wrong thing that everyone else that like everyone that says, you know, don't do it against Alvey. He's just like, I don't care, I'm Derek Brunson. I don't really have any more. I mean, that was in his his thing where he gradually got more insane from fight to fight up until the Whittaker fight, where he was literally just sprinting after Whittaker, just winging punches at him.
Coughing at the mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, so little happens in this fight. Like,
Jesus. Yeah. We are struggling here already.
Like, we can talk and talk and talk, and there's no, like, distraction point. That's, like, there's nothing like, oh, did you just see actually XYZ was pretty good.
Yeah.
Theodorou is like Holly Holm with worse boxing.
Yeah.
That is insane. That his game is the same, but without the boxing. And that's not even the good part of Holm's game.
And without putting anything on any kick, like, ever.
Yeah, he doesn't want to sit in one place because he's not backing things up with a counter punching game, so he can't be caught off. Like, he can't be closed down. He can't afford it. And
yeah, there's something weird about the way he kicks. Like, he throws that. Zane's just laughing at this little crane hop. But he gets up on his toes.
Yeah.
He pivots. It looks like it should be a harder kick. But there's like no follow through. It just bounces off.
Well, I think the thing is that he honestly stops his kick before it hits the target. So
it looks like he's pulling his own shots.
Yeah, so that he doesn't. It's because he can't be closed down. Like, he can't afford to be closed down. I mean, that's one of the reasons that like, you know, she's unlearned a lot of it, but that like Tisha Torres has been an underwhelming striker or boxer, especially for a lot of her run. Is that she just does not actually sit down on punches. You know, she'll throw it and then she has to pull it because she already wants to be out of the pocket by the time the punch is supposed to have landed.
Even though she is a better boxer than that.
Yeah.
You go back to like her earliest fights, you can see better punching mechanics because she's committing to her shots.
Yep. And she's slowly learning to recommit to her shots over time, but it's had to be a slow relearning.
Tisha Torres is she's another fighter where I'm like I feel like Brad Tavares, her outgrown her reputation for being like one of these leaf blower volume people, because like she was really like she was kind of just beating shots.
Yeah.
But yeah, more of this terrible fight.
More of this terrible fight.
If I'm recalling correctly, I think this doesn't only have like a whole bunch of like worthless, near worthless, but nothing else happens kicking volume from the outside, but I think it also has like nothing happening in the clinch as well.
That's the thing that amazes me about this fight, and I think we're about to see it. Sam Alvey, given the way he fights and his power and his noodly body shape, really should be a very good clinch fighter. And is amazingly not a good clinch fighter. Just willfully inactive in the clinch. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons Theodorou loses or wins this fight, is that Alvey is just like, well, I'm going to hold you, and then I'm going to hold you more. I don't have a plan. I don't have anywhere to go with this. This wasn't part of my plan.
That's the thing. Like, Alvey used to be, like, if nothing else, he was a very active clinch fighter back in his, you know, Bruno Santos fighting days. I'm wondering if I might have slightly trained that out of him. And they'd be like, you know, what you want to do is you want to be safe, and you want to just do, you know, you don't want to mix it up in the clinch. You just want to do kicks from that side and takedowns. It
could be the Thiago Santos fights trained that out of him, because he tried to be active in that fight, and Thiago Santos was just like, I'm just gonna fucking wreck your shit, man. Sorry.
He got. He also got kneed in the body a shitload, but
yeah. Like, in all fairness, that was a fight. Like, in retrospect, it seems insane that I and probably most other people picked Theodorou to win that fight, because that is a nightmare style matchup.
Yeah,
for
somebody
him
who kicks harder
at any stage of his career
and punches harder.
Yeah, like because he just doesn't have.
gets the collar tie and does
the collar tie,
nothing.
and it's gone.
Like, how?
See, the thing is, these non-committal kicks, yes, they allow Elias to like move more easily, maybe, right?
Maybe.
Because if you commit, it also gives you more impetus to then return to your stance using the force of your kick. But anyway, maybe they make it easier for him to slip away, but it should be a fucking invitation to counter. None of it hurts. So step through and hit him while he's kicking. He just did it for the first time, and we are more than halfway through the second round. Why do you do this, Sam? Why do you fight this way?
Like, it's just it's fucking. It's amazing how little there is to his game. It is literally just his right hand, and like that's it.
Is Sam
He can
Alvey,
sometimes throw a counter left hand.
Oh yeah.
is Sam Alvey just shot and we just haven't noticed?
I mean, he's not shot. It's not like you can go back and find like.
Yeah, it's true. You can't go back and find like a better Sam Alvey.
No, you can. Before the UFC.
No,
but he had a long-ass career before he came to the UFC.
He did have a long-ass career. It's full of fights like this.
Look at his first UFC fight. Tom Watson gave him tons of trouble with kicks, but he responded with lots of volume.
Yeah.
He just, like, anymore, he has one way of fighting. And I don't think Sam Alvey used to be that static.
Maybe.
So in both cases, we have guys who have tried to build more technical games and have instead made just horrible games.
Themselves, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Theodorou is outlanding him 41-10 in this round. And Alvey landed one strike in the first round. 26-1. You shouldn't, like, that shouldn't be possible as a fighter getting to this level. Like, I'm pretty sure Ashkan Mokhtarian landed more strikes on John Moraga. And that is one of the most one-sided ass whippings we have seen in recent memory.
Sam Alvey landed 82 shots in his UFC debut against Tom Watson. 82-85. And the closest he's come since then was in the fight with Alex Nicholson, which was kind of a slow war because he really had to fight back, and he landed 63 in that one. He's just kind of, his volume has been going down and down and down. And I don't know. I mean I guess
it is just because people have figured him out.
Yeah, I think that's the bigger thing. True. If people have learned exactly how to beat. He was like, people were like, oh, he's this big knockout puncher. I gotta like fight scared. And it's just like, no, actually, you just need to. It's like when people started eventually figuring out Roy Nelson. In part, Roy Nelson got worse. In part, everybody realized if you circle away from his one power hand, he has no other offense to offer you.
Yeah.
I love that the highlights are just like nothing happened.
Blocked kick into a flailing mid punch.
It's a blocked kick. Oh, Jesus.
This fight is brutal.
It really is.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, that's the thing. I'm just like, Theodorou. I'm just not sure that Theodorou can be all that much better than he is. Like, I just don't think he's just not a natural puncher at all. Like, he's always going to be an okay, and he's a pretty natural grappler, but he's not a massive takedown artist. He's a good scrambler. He's got tons of cardio. He's pretty tough, and that's kind of it. He's going to fight. I mean, this is, is this a smart fight? I mean, I guess it is. He's winning.
Yeah. I think he could.
He's winning, but it's not.
I can't believe that there's no way for Elias Theodorou to become a better technical boxer but I think he's kind of just painted himself into a stylistic corner. Like the way he fights, there's just not a lot else he can add to it. And so he's kind of like a Sam Alvey. He just has a very limited range of options that works for one way of fighting. And his weird little stance switches and bouncy footwork and his weird kicks just don't play into a boxing game. And so he's never going to learn one,
Yeah. I mean, that was honestly the reason that I picked Dan Kelly over him, is that he throws so little effective punches that I figured Dan Kelly would just be able to walk through his kicks and land shots. And it was really only because Dan Kelly is so amazingly foot slow that didn't work. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan Kelly did implement that exact game all fight. He just did not have the speed to actually close the distance effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to his credit, Theodorou did sit down on his kicks a lot more in that fight. Like he did a lot more. Like he has done, I would say, almost zero damage to Sam Alvey in this fight. Like he has done pretty much nothing.
He did palm strike him there just now.
Yeah.
But also Sam Alvey has haunted him for not doing anything to him while doing nothing of his own.
I mean, so yeah, he's basically. I mean, Dan Kelly is, I guess, a solid win, and he's Cesar Ferreira, although that is, I still consider to be a pretty huge fluke.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the kind of thing that, unfortunately, it's middleweight, so he's gonna be a borderline top 10 to top 15 middleweight, pretty much in perpetuity. Yeah. Like that's just the way that division works.
Yeah. He'll be, he's still got a bunch more years to fight. I mean, he's 29.
Just step through one of these kicks, Sam. God damn it! Just step through and throw a punch.
It's not.
Sorry,
spinning back.
What's that, Connor? Did you say hang back? Look for a counter right hook. Is that what you said?
Wait for him.
Sure, that's what you said.
Yeah, I think he said wait only for an overhand left. And only an overhand left, and nothing else.
Just when he does, wait, he's going to do it. He's not going to really feint much. Just that's when you step through. He's on one leg, and he's not really trying to hit you.
Why can't Alvey just like... This? Why can't Alvey just throw body shots?
Dude, yes, anything different.
Just like throw body hooks to the body. What do you think's going to happen?
Right.
Like,
what are you so worried about, Sam?
He threw a right hand and it kind of hurt Theodorou a little, but that means it's just time to back off and stop throwing at him.
Alvey's been in such more heated fights than this. That's why it's always so baffling when he can't be so inspired to just do something different because he has before.
Yeah, I mean some guys can just be put into types of fights where they'll just they will just stare at the other guy.
That headlock turn that does nothing. He's trying to slip around the back because Sam Alvey, expert something or...
Is Elias, was he trying to hit a head arm throw or what?
Yeah, it looked like it for a second, but then I don't know what he was trying to do after that.
You know what I think it really is from Alvey?
Huh.
It's that he's not. It's that he's so happy. He's just he wants to hug. Like he's hugging Sam Alvey too. Like he's just like, no man, we don't need to fight. Like we can just hug this out, and we'll both feel better.
Jesus Christ, dude!
Look at this. Like this is literally his only chance to do any damage in this fight. He's got underhooks. He has both underhooks, and is turning Theodorou. And is just like, maybe I'll just knee him in the knee. That'll win.
Oh, we get a separation. Big John is like so frustrated at this point. He's like, one of you do something. He just about took Theodorou's leg off with a kick there. I mean...
He's now fully in sneering Sam Alvey mode.
Step in! He's not hitting you! Please!
I like that he literally waited until a second was left in the fight.
I landed 10 strikes that whole fight, and I couldn't be more pleased. Sam Alvey.
Really, like Sam Alvey, like at what point... Because we always talk about how inability to pull the trigger is one of those things you see from top fighters. Like at what point we say it's gone too far for Sam? He can't make himself do it anymore.
He beat Rashad because he's not in Rashad territory. Yes. That's what it is. Like that's the bar. Is when you start getting, because Rashad had the same thing where he just wouldn't pull the trigger and he was bad at pulling the trigger. But he still beat a lot of guys for a while being bad at pulling the trigger. And then suddenly one day, anybody who Dan Kelly pulls the trigger better than Rashad Evans, you know? Sam Alvey pulls the trigger better than Rashad Evans. He's not there yet.
And unlike Rashad, like Sam is not a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
He didn't even have anything else to rely on. He. All right.
Oh.
Just an abysmal fight. Truly an awful, frustrating, terrible experience for me. I didn't enjoy it. I hated it. It was so much worse than the first fight we watched.
There's literally
Excellent.
nothing to talk about during that fight except to yell at both of them to do more.
Oh my god! All right, let's
Like,
watch.
I mean, I have to. Yeah, but you have to yell at Alvey more, just because
Yeah.
when like it's always
Yeah,
the
they're
thing that like if there's a
doing-
terrible fight going on, it's always on the and like one guy's really easily winning it. Like
Yeah.
you have to be like, well, I guess you got a lot of money on the line, and you know you can get a better fight out of this.
Yeah, because you could yell at Elias to
You
be
should
more
probably-
effective, but you had to yell at Sam to do anything, just to do
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah. Elias doesn't have to be more effective when he's winning that clearly in a fight where his opponent is just doing nothing.
Yep. And that is why Elias Theodorou is the perfect middleweight, because his style works very well against fighters who don't really seem to know how to win fights. And there's a lot of those at 185.
There are a lot.
There's a lot of them.
All right. Now we're starting Dan
Yeah.
Henderson versus Marilla Bustamante. Pride Shockwave 2005. Everybody ready?
I'm so ready.
Mhm.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
I mean, we can all admit now, I was right for suggesting that we just not watch that last one. I mean,
I don't know. I did kind of enjoy the parts where you got really upset.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna.
I think
I'm
actually,
not gonna
like,
lie.
so now we're watching the exciting Dan Henderson Marilla Bustamante fight, where Henderson just runs out and bombs on him until the fight gets stopped. And it was a headbutt, in fact.
Was that a headbutt that started it? Excellent. Yeah.
Like, well, why didn't Decision Dan fight like Decision Dan? They show the replay. It's like, oh, they hit each other right in the head, and Bustamante
Decision Dan definitely. I'm going to see specifically when this was in his career.
2005.
I mean, he did have some ferocious knockouts around that time.
Yeah, this is the transition period, and to be fair to Dan Henderson, he's always had power. It's never like he wasn't a powerful fighter who could knock people out. It's just he used to style himself as a wrestler first.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember even his early, it was his second Pride fight, according to Wikipedia, his fight with Hendo Gracie.
Yeah.
And he just melted Hendo with an uppercut in the midst of a sprawl.
Yeah.
Like he definitely had knockout power, but I guess, yeah, it was never a question of Dan Henderson learned to punch. It was Dan Henderson stopped being so boring.
Yeah, he learned to
stylistic problem.
Yeah, he learned to fight like a guy who's not just out to out wrestle opponents. At least we get some of the like glitz and glamour of Pride with this now, instead of just the, you know, the same octagon as always for Alvey versus Theodorou that just.
Oh, watching even just relatively short snippets of the Ryzen year-end Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It was fun. Like, honestly, you watch it and you're like, I don't know who these people are, and I still feel like I should care.
Yeah, that's the Sakakibara magic. You can talk about him as, you know, a mafioso yakuza sort of front man all you want, but he knows how to put a show on. And it is pretty obvious from the fact that like that style of promotion and that feeling of grandeur went away pretty much entirely until his competitive ban was lifted finally, and he could come back and start rising, and suddenly it was like, oh yeah, this.
think I'm going to become like more of a Pride Never Die guy in 2018. That's going to be my new brand because
Oh, okay.
up to like 2017, I could always be like, yeah, well, yeah, I miss the production values and the spectacle and everything, but like, like the fights are mostly better. And like but 2017 was like a UFC year with no storylines, with honestly, I mean, look, the proof is in the pudding. All of the major sites have picked as fighter of the year like one of 5 different UFC fighters.
Yeah.
There's like no breakaway. This is the thing that matters, and it happened in the UFC. So
Yeah.
now, really, at this point, having watched that Ryzen Grand Prix, I was like, man, something different does sound pretty good right now.
Yeah, you didn't contribute to the you didn't contribute to the Bitch Fest article, did you?
No.
The
Everyone else
one
chose
about how our viewing habits have changed over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am working.
And everyone pretty much just went. Yeah, and everyone pretty much just went bitch, 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 bitch.
I'm working on
I enjoyed it.
A matchmaking article, like about matchmaking in 2017 and how it hasn't led to any memorable narratives or breakout stars. But no, I didn't join the Bitch Fest.
It's weirdly my viewing habits changed like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. I'd say 4 years ago, and they really haven't changed again since. Where it's just like I watch all the UFC events and then I catch as much other MMA as I can because for coverage reasons, like I want to have followed and kept up with all the UFC events because that's where the majority of my coverage has to be.
Yeah. Also, I'm glad that, like, on a totally separate note, I'm glad that Bustamante is here to tell us, what a Brock Cole and CB Dollaway would actually look like.
Thank you, Marilla Bustamante, your contribution.
Yeah, it's nice to know that, like, maybe if I lost a couple inches around the waist, my body type had a strong place in MMA. And so
looks like a Cabbage Patch doll injected with human growth hormone.
Oh man, Dan Henderson, to me, he always looked like he always has the face of like if you just took like a typical Roman foot soldier and then
hit him with a cast iron pan,
took all his armor away, that would be Dan Henderson.
Yeah. All right, round 1 begins. First time I've actually managed to do this successfully, I think. Now. Alrighty.
Okay. So yeah, because it's Decision Dan era, Dan, I know it's not necessarily an extremely like, oh, it's a disappointment, we should know better. But like I said, this is the end of a tournament. This is Dan Henderson off a knockout. This is Bustamante off a big submission. And to Hendo's credit, he's coming out throwing. he just H-bombed himself to the mat there.
I'm just thinking of what Dan Henderson's post-career biography could be called, and owing to Zane's inspiration, I think I'll title it From Legionnaire to Legionnaire's Disease, the Dan Henderson story. What do you think?
Did he have Legionnaire's disease?
Probably should. He's like 90 years old.
Oh, geez. See, now that's a stretch, though. Like, it was a fun pun. But unless he has had Legionnaires.
Yeah, you're right. I'll go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Maybe from,
boom, we call it American Pride, the Dan Henderson story. I mean, that works. That actually works.
Well, sure. But now you've lost the whole Roman
thing. I'm over that. Now I'm just on to thinking of what would be a fitting title for a Dan Henderson story.
How about From Gladius to Gladiator Intros?
Not quite streamlined, but I appreciate the concept a lot.
Yeah,
All right.
That was actually a pretty good jab from Bustamante there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see this is before Dan Henderson really knows quite what the H-bomb is. Like, he's got the hand tied there like he's going to throw this wicked punch, but he doesn't have quite the idea of when to release it.
This is Dan Henderson when he was just organic puncher in his strike. like before he developed a
Yeah.
decent jab and like a serviceable kicking game to flesh out his right hand.
Yeah, and he's always been a tremendous clinch fighter. Like he's really good at catching people often on the break. Like
Yeah.
a lot of like the knockouts around the the famous H bomb era, like they're really not him charging at people and then throwing the Bisping low kick overhand thing, or like people like the H bomb. That's going to be like a lot of them are just him clipping people off clinch breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think
It was
that
probably-
Hendo Gracie one, like the first big Hendo knockout, was similar. Like he sprawled on a shot and then got like a collar tie, I think, and clipped Henzo on the chin and just sent him flying to his back unconscious in this weird little transition.
Yeah.
And still to this day, almost like the elbow against Hector Lombard, the little short right hand in the third fight with Shogun. Like these are,
Yeah. Yep. Theodorou, Cavalcante.
Those are classic Hendo things. Those weird little tiny but devastating shots on the break.
Yeah. Like to be honest, yeah, he didn't really land. Oh yeah, Shogun, of course. Like he didn't land an H bomb KO.
No.
Like
Yeah.
Bisping one.
It's true. Weirdly, the threat's always been there, but
Yeah.
it's also, I think it's such a
It was always the weird thing. It was like
that, like,
yeah,
like you literally, if you can't see Dan Henderson's right hand coming, then you have not watched any tape on Dan Henderson at all. I will say, to Bustamante's credit and to Dan Henderson's credit, Hendo does seem to have a pretty like powerful left hook going that Bustamante is staying away from.
He has for a long time. He had the Rocky Marciano thing going on where he would throw such a bomb with his right hand that he couldn't help but have a powerful left hook that followed. There's so much weight in the first shot that just to get back to the right hand stance would carry such a wallop bringing that left hand back around.
But yeah, like I generally feel like Henderson's game was always a lot craftier in his later career than people gave it credit for. It was like he had a whole bunch of offensive tools and he was just like, I'm going to melt all these down on massive elephant gun. But like the elephant gun and then quietly like gut the dude in the smoke.
Yeah.
Just banging them up in the clinch. It was rarely the actual everyone would be like, H-bomb Hendo does it again, and be like, he sort of threw the H-bomb, then got into the clinch and then knocked the guy out on the exit. It's generally how he did it.
And there's a huge difference between how he set up the H-bomb in those later fights, between like the Michael Bisping fight, even the first Michael Bisping fight and this one. Like he's just bombing lead right hands here. Like he's not pawing his way in. He's not feinting. He's not attacking at all different levels to draw your eyes elsewhere. Like
because of that, he's ended up on his back because Bustamante's seeing it all coming. Like it's all really telegraphed strikes.
Yeah. And for all of his great clinch work and everything, Hendo has never been much of a defensive wrestler. He's always been shockingly easy. Like those tiny little legs are just not that difficult to grab onto.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love seeing Pride stomps. That's always such a...
Oof. Just about got in cleanly with that one.
Yeah.
It really does totally change the dynamic of ground striking to have kicks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kicks and stomps and all that. Like, I get that they're good. There are reasons to not have it, because the big thing being, like, you know, a lot of the worst concussions that happen in training for fighters is when they're grappling and they get hit with a knee or with a, you know, with a, they don't see somebody else on the mat and they clash heads with somebody or something like that. And it's because you can't really, like, properly brace for a strike to the head, and they often come from angles that you can't see very well. So I get that there's actually solid reason behind, like, not letting people get kicked and kneed in the head on the ground, but it does make the fight feel much more fluid.
Yeah. And there's guys like, like someone suggested this at some point. I can't remember who it was, but like, is Jose Aldo like the most the highest level fighter that we've seen, where we've kind of never got to see how good he would have been like under the soccer kicking rule set, because
Would have been phenomenal.
he was really in like his early, what is it, jungle fights? Was it something else? But you can see his early fights, and someone will be on the floor like this, and Jose Aldo will literally just teleport over them and kick them in the head like 4 times.
So was it Mecca that he was in? Or was that before his time? I gotta look it up.
It may be, while you're looking that up,
So,
maybe because I just watched Sam Alvey fight Elias Theodorou, but this is not such a bad fight to me so far.
So far it's showing Bustamante neutralizing a lot of Hendo's tools, but not having any offensive game to go with it, except for his soccer kicking. And Hendo landing the better shots, but
he's got Bustamante's getting some good licks off here on the ground. Yeah. Hendo landed a few bombs on the feet, and now we get to see him strike again.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm okay with this fight.
Yeah, so he fought once in Mecca Valley Tudo, but a couple times in early Shudo Brazil, one jungle fight, and then just some random, totally regional Brazilian fight cards, and once, still weirdly twice in England. Early Jose Aldo career. He had 2 fights in the UK, one against Phil Harris, and the other against Mickey Young.
Pretty sure Hendo just big time grabbed Bustamante.
Yeah, I'm guessing Phil Harris versus Jose Aldo was not a pretty fight to watch.
It was a doctor stoppage in the first round. I'm sure there's video out there.
Bustamante's getting some heavy right hands off in this scramble.
Yeah. It is always weird how people are, some people never get to show how good they are in a certain, they'll never even get to know how good they might have been in a certain ring, in a certain like skill set. Less about things like the ring, but mostly about things like a square shaped place to fight.
Yeah.
Like it's a huge difference from Octagon.
Yep.
But yeah.
Square. Who would the best moat fighter be then? Who's the best fighter that never got to fight with the moat?
Oh, who would be the best moat fighter?
Yeah.
Because currently Kikuno is the best moat fighter.
Yeah. Kikuno is currently the best moat fighter, but like, who has suffered the most from having a cage or the wall to be trapped against?
That's an interesting question. Junior Dos Santos? He would just get shoved out over and over again. Junior Dos Santos, like if Junior Dos Santos and Cain Velasquez fought in the moat, the same thing would happen, except it would end in a minute because JDS would get moated 3 times in quick succession. So it's really
Dominic Cruz.
Yeah, that might be it. I can see that.
Like he's gonna realize he can't ever get his title back off either Dillashaw or Garbrandt.
Moat
be up to moat fight.
Yeah, I would watch the hell out of Dominic Cruz in moat fights.
Absolutely. I honestly, conceptually, I really like the idea of moat fighting.
Oh yeah,
it totally works. But I also I enjoy sumo. I think sumo is a sport that is just objectively fun to watch. If you've never seen it, you sit down, you're like, you get it. It's pretty straightforward, and it's like intense and fast.
They're replaying that soccer kick to the face over and over, which also though goes to show exactly how not bad soccer kicks a lot of them are. Because if you can't hit somebody with the actual instep, like kicking somebody with your toes in their skull, that just like is really likely to fuck your foot up.
Yeah.
What do you guys think got that? I mean, I know they don't do round by round scoring, but I kind of give the fight to Bustamante so far.
Yeah.
He landed some really solid shots from the top position in that round.
Like, it's an interesting thing to me, like, just going back to that, what Zane was just saying about, like, is that, and this is what I suspect, like, people are like, ground and pound to the body doesn't really work that much, but I feel like a lot of like when we see like someone get punched in the head with ground and pound, and it's like their head is flat on the mat, it looks super bad. I'm not sure it's actually all that bad.
Yeah.
Sort of kinetic studies, and like when you're braced up against something, it's actually like it just transmits a lot of the force straight through like your skull. It's your skull is not
Yeah.
getting jiggled much.
That's
Like
true.
people did like studies with like what's it called, hockey players, right? So if you're up against the side of the cage and someone bangs into them, it looks horrific.
Yeah.
But it's actually apparently just much worse to get hit in open, like
That
in
makes
open
sense.
thing,
I
or
mean,
to get
whiplash
hit in
is
the
the
open
whole
and
problem.
then bounce off it. It's
Although
probably
it
the
probably does
worst.
make it easier to cut skin and break bones when there's no give.
Yeah,
That's true. I mean,
maybe not break bone. Yeah,
Henderson with a good left hook. Henderson now going for the takedowns. I think it's like he wants to get it back for having ended up so much on his back.
Yeah, well, and that was
Yeah.
like, that those were the things that made Decision Dan during the Decision Dan era was Dan Henderson going for takedowns. Because he's not I realize he's a very good wrestler, but he's not a great folk style wrestler in MMA. Like,
No, Dan Henderson's always been a little bit of like a Johnny Hendricks. His wrestling has never been.
well, and he was a Greco dude, and Greco doesn't translate the
Dan
same.
Henderson looks fucking exhausted.
He does.
Like I have never like it is a long time since I've seen him looking this tired in a fight. Like this is like Jake Shields. Like this has got to be at least partially why he stopped wrestling so much, I reckon.
Might be.
Exhausted.
It is worth wondering how he wins this fight at this point, isn't it?
Well, that was
there's not much left.
The real thing with Decision Dan is not that his fights were just boring. Is that he got a lot of undeserved decisions, or at least what were perceived as undeserved. I like the hallmark one is the one with Ninja Hua, the other Murillo he fought in Pride.
Yeah,
but he didn't deserve that one. I don't think.
No.
Because Bustamante is doing a pretty good job stifling him, has landed good shots from top, has landed some good shots late in this round. Now they're doing that Japanese
Henderson
thing.
just looks far too tired to get much done here.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to be bloody in Japan for some reason. Like, they'll let Bob Sapp like fight a bear.
Dan just
there we go.
Oh, that was good.
That might explain more why
one
he
of those
won this
miracle
fight.
Hendo clinch strikes, man. Just in this weird position, he just finds the opening.
Yeah,
and then puts his hand on Bustamante's mouth to just kind of be a dick and
you're gonna be
slow the
tired
fight down.
too, motherfucker. We're both gonna have a hard time breathing.
Oh man, I was talking to Dan Tom about this the other day. I was on his Protect Your Neck podcast, and we were talking about one of the things of like how a lot of ground scrambles are really kind of weird looking in Pride, and why that would be. And I mean, it hasn't come up a lot in this fight, but it was one of those things like I keep thinking about with like, I think there were a lot of dudes in Pride that just had like legendary BJJ. Maybe this is a better example, but like where it was just like, oh, I can't afford to be on top of this guy at all, and so people would like panic about being on the ground more.
They were less comfortable defending submissions.
Yeah,
from like a grounded fighter. Yeah.
Well, and just I don't even know that they would be less comfortable because there certainly like were some great ground battles there, but it was just like there were guys who were like there was more of a legendary idea about what people were good at. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, this guy, he really does get a lot of submissions, but it's more like, no, this guy is a jiu-jitsu master and you can't hang with him on the ground. So don't ever try to.
Would that explain why Hendo just chose to get up rather than maintain that position? Because he's so exhausted.
Yeah. The other my other thinking here on it too is honestly just that the ring ropes make it feel so much less stable to like be on top of somebody. Because you feel like you could just like slide out and have that position taken away from you at any time. But man, is Hendo looking tired.
Yeah, I mean, there's There's no wall walking. People didn't try and
Yeah.
people didn't get back to the cage so much. I think side control and north south are much stronger positions. Like when you can land knees,
Yeah.
like you got to be a lot more scared of someone getting north south on you.
That's
which
true.
is like it's an annoying position to get stuck in like UFC MMA. You're in serious fucking trouble if someone.
Man,
gets north-south.
Bustamante, he had some of that. God, what's his name? Who's the Canadian dude who is currently the middleweight wacky? Yeah, some serious Ryan James chin going on.
Ooh. Yeah, conspicuously tall and exposed. While
just getting bombed on, and then somehow just being like, "Well, I'm gonna keep fighting through it, so you better have more punches coming."
I don't know. If we're scoring fight as a whole, and who did the more damage and so on, like maybe Henderson did win. I'm fine with it.
I just feel like Bustamante did enough. Like,
yeah,
he got dropped in like a weird position.
I would say this: nobody got robbed.
No.
Yeah, it was definitely close. And it was also a totally enjoyable fight. I thought it was a perfectly enjoyable.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Also, like Bustamante looks more like Dollaway with the tie that he gets.
He does.
Like, the rock hold just fades away, and the Dollaway rises to the surface.
What we finally discovered is that CB Dollaway is just a very tired Luke Rockhold. The more just tired of life Luke Rockhold gets, the more like CB Dollaway he will look. Murillo Bustamante is just in the midst of that transition.
Something to look forward to.
We need something for this year. I can't wait till Luke Rockhold looks like CB Dollaway. I'll be holding on to him.
All right, so that was kind of a failure. It was a good reason to go back and check out a classic Pride title fight, but not that bad a fight. A competitive.
About accidentally watching a decent fight. I still enjoyed it, and we, by the way, like Theodorou Alvey, one of the more infuriating fights we watched.
Yeah, so. Maybe we needed that break. Maybe we just needed that little pick me up after Theodorou Alvey.
So it's still not as annoying. Still not as annoying as Woodley Thompson too. I'll say that, at least for me.
Like that. Woodley Thompson, still waking nightmare.
Oh man, they need to bring back the huge oversized checks for UFC events.
Oh my god, I want fighters get like trophies and other gewgaws when they win.
Yeah,
you should get some stupid trophy that you would throw away before you even get home,
or a Boost mobile phone.
Yeah. Oh, Condit having to walk out to Bright is the UFC's Boost.
Oh man. Yeah. Like,
what if that's Carlos Condit's last fight? He loses to Neil Magny, and he had to walk out to the fucking song from the Orc Cop movie.
Yeah.
He had to walk out to a dude to the theme for a dude who got beat by Travis Brown. Travis Brown's only win in 3 years, and Carlos Condit has to rep it.
Oh man, like, yeah. Pay your money for the pay-per-view and then endure this relentless shilling for this mediocre film. Like, and we're moving into the third round, and Carlos Condit might be behind on the rounds, and it's not looking too bright for him. Much like the film Bright. Now streaming live on Netflix. Will Smith, some other guy.
Yes, it's already been out for 2 weeks, and yes, everybody already has decided it sucks, but we're still advertising it here, and we're choosing what could be Carlos Condit's last fight to do so.
Let's bring in Orc Cop as our guest commentator for round 3.
Yes. I wish they'd brought in Orc Cop to call the fight. Carlos Condit's problem here is that he's not openly orc. Only
Condit Magny. Condit Magny's got to be one we're going to watch at some point, right? I mean, it's not horrendous, but like it's also a Condit fight where he throws like about 10 strikes per round. Like,
true.
That shit ain't right, and I know it hurt Zane a lot.
It wasn't a great fight. I mean,
All right.
pretty
Let's pause. Let's wrap this because now you're going to get me all depressed about Condit versus losing to Neil Magny.
The day Carlos Condit is on the
Yes.
is a sad day.
Yeah.
All right. It's like
that's what we're here
after
for.
watching a pretty decent Dan Henderson Murillo Bustamante fight, I feel like we've refound our depressingness through remembering that Carlos Condit fight. On that note, you can find me on Twitter at @TheZaneSimon. You can find Connor on Twitter at BoxingBush. That's BUSCH. You can find Phil on Twitter at EvilGregJackson. You can find all three of us over at BloodyElbow.com week in, week out. If you're watching this video on YouTube, and you should be, give it a thumbs up, like down below. We need your likes. They help. Trust me. Swear to God. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, MMANation.com. That's DOTCOM, all spelled out. That's where you get all the latest Bloody Elbow shows, videos, news, analysis, all that stuff we do week in, week out. There's no UFC event this week, so we will be, other than our normal regular run of shows, we will be back next week for UFC St. Louis. Duho Choi versus Jeremy Stevens. We'll have the vivisection. Care Don't Care. If I Did It. I think Knuckle Up might be dead, so I should stop listing Knuckle Up. Heavy Hands, all that good stuff. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.